Good morning, Gremilinos. I am wearing a Trekkie crop top. I have a Spirit Halloween cup of coffee. And also, my name's Catherine. I'm your favorite asthmatic, mostly 10-fingered chaos reader. And unlike my previous vlog, I promise this is gonna be a short one. I say this because I'm actually not going to be vlogging that many days. We have a ton of stuff going on next week, but I have some books that I really want to read, and I've actually already read one of them, which was not entirely the plan, but I've already read it. So there's not going to be a ton of books. Oh, Charlie is yelling. There will be 2 books, possibly a third if I have additional time. I don't know. We'll just see how that goes, but I'm focusing on 2 books. You'll get a little bit of the weekend, maybe a little bit of next week, but then I am too busy. It is in part why I'm not doing the full moon readathon, because we are just too busy next week, and I would miss a number of days. I don't know what Charlie is yelling at. It's demand barking. She's okay. For those of you who don't know, Charlie is the newest member of our family. We call her Charlie the Mugwai because mostly she sounds like a Mogwai, but she's been doing this new demand barking thing. Where sometimes she either wants Kira to pay attention to her or one of the cats, and I'm very sure that's what's going on. But yeah, not doing the full moon readathon because I was gonna miss like 2 days of it just completely, and then on top of that, I was like, I just have stuff that I'm gonna have to do during the rest of it, so I was like, I don't have time to read enough books. I don't have time to really do it, so I'm not. I know people are, and I'm excited to see like what books people do and to see Jan's video when it's done, or videos. I don't know how many vlogs she's doing, but I can't do it this year. I have also already drawn a tarot card. I draw this card a lot, which is so strange, but I drew this 6 of Swords reversed. Again, I have drawn this card enough times that I know that it's Jenny, well, I don't fully know this. It's Jenny Eisenhower and Sarah Neville. They are the adults figured on this card, and in the reverse, I'll show you the right side up. I pulled it in the reverse, but you can see the art. You've seen this in other videos. Is it gonna focus on it right side up? No. Hello? No. I actually feel like you could see it better upside down. Yes, Charlie, I hear you. I don't know why you're yelling. It says, all signs are pointing toward you leaving a difficult situation, but it feels so hard to do. You may feel hesitant and like you'll never be ready to let go, but remember that you are only being harmed by staying in this situation. You don't want to stunt your growth. It's a good time to consider your worth and remember that nobody values you as much as you value yourself. So my wife watches my videos. She's one of the small group of people who do, and she was like, oh, could you maybe say like what you think the card means? And I'm like, I don't know. Sometimes I just like go into the day not really like keeping it in mind kind of, but not really thinking about it. I don't really want to get into details because I feel like I keep drawing this one because I think about work a lot, and I really like my job. I'm not leaving my job. I not leave my job of my own free will. I really I enjoy what I do, but I am curious because they're like, I don't know, they're doing some restructuring, which could benefit me. So I will say that very vaguely, but I don't know anything in detail, so I just keep thinking about it, which I think might be why I keep drawing this card. Is I just keep thinking about work and how they've mentioned things at work that could change my day-to-day work life. We'll see. I don't know. That's all I'm going to say as a very vague I think that's why it keeps coming up. Oh gosh, I'm very warm already. That's why I'm wearing literally this crop top today, because I was so warm when I got up. I should get into the book I already read, so I'll put that away in a sec. But there you go. I did say I would attempt. I think that's why I keep drawing it. I'm very sure, but I am not actively trying to go anywhere because I do actually like my job and I'm not looking for other opportunities. So I just I still think it's work related though. So I read 95% of Bone of My Bone yesterday because there was a preseason football game. So it was the Hall of Fame game. And Krista wanted to watch it because she is actually doing fantasy football again. She wasn't going to, but they needed another person, and they were like, really, we have space, do you want to do it? And so she did agree. So she is doing fantasy football, and she wanted to watch the game and do some fantasy football prep. So I read Bone of My Bone by Joanna van Veen. Now, I do think I'm saying the Veen part wrong. I feel like someone posted on someone's video that it's, you don't say Veen, you say something else, but I do know Joanna is correct. This is her latest book, and I loved Blood on My Tongue and My Darling Dreadful Thing, and this is religious and witches and incredible. So it does mention, it is set in the year 1635. There is a description of why that is important and a bunch of historical stuff. So it's during the 30 Years' War, where Europe was basically being ravaged by marauders, soldiers, the plague, disease. So many things are all going on at once because this war is going on. There are also witch trials because everyone is very panicked during this, and they're trying to blame everything bad that's happening on an outside force. So we open with Elspeth, who's a peasant girl. She is 19. It's in her youth. She is at a witch burning. So in Europe, they only burned witches. In the United States, we hung them, just so you know. We did not burn any witches. We also crushed one. They weren't actually witches. It's a whole thing. But we didn't set anyone on fire in America. That was not a thing we did. For witchcraft. Specifically for witchcraft, no one was set on fire. In Europe, that is like all they did. They did a number of other things, but like burning them was the go-to. So she is taken to a witch burning, and she has always kind of thought of this woman who seemed to have the eyes of a hare, and she like leapt off of the pyre. She did not get away, but she's always thought of that. We are following Elspeth during this period of time. She has no family. She's like running. She's just trying to find safety during all of this. She is a young woman. She is definitely in danger during this period because no one is safe, but also women are incredibly not safe. She, during her journey, very early, well, for us, very early on, runs into Sister, I'm gonna actually have to look at her name, Ursula, Sister Ursula. I'm just making sure, there are some names at the end, so I'm making sure that I say everyone's name correctly. Sister Ursula. And Sister Ursula was sent from her convent to go to another convent that would be safer. She says she's going to a Carmelite convent, which is so odd because I could swear, I believe Carmelite nuns still exist, and also I think I've met some. I was raised Catholic, which is in part why I very much like this book. I think the Carmelite, like, order still exists. Now there might not be many of them, but I am very sure I've met like at least one Carmelite nun. If I ask my mom, she might know. So they meet and then begin a journey together because Sister Ursula doesn't really know how to take care of herself. She has this deep desire to help others, but also does not really know how to care for herself because she's always followed the words of authority. And so Elspeth meets her, finds her beautiful. Sister Ursula is a few years older than her. Not a ton older, but she's in her 20s. But Elspeth feels like she needs to protect her because Elspeth knows more. So the two of them wind up on this journey, and then through this journey, they come upon someone who has what he claims is the skull of a saint. And this skull of a saint could grant them a wish, he says. He's very sure of this. If you return it to its body, it will grant you a wish. They then proceed on this journey with information provided to them by an odd source that, yeah, you should go there. You should definitely reunite this. Now, while all of this is going on, there's a necromancer on their trail. He's evil. And also, there's two POVs. We get Ursula, Elspeth, and then there is a third. So the third is Otto, and he gives us the necromancer's point of view, but Otto is not the necromancer. And that is all I will say. But the two women are running to try and reunite this head, skull, it's a skull, with its body. And during all of this, Ursula is still concerned for her sisters, and the two women are also falling for each other. There are a lot of heavy topics in this. There is not a full trigger warning page at the beginning, but there is a, like, these are some things that will be discussed, and then there's a big trigger warning page in the back. So just know this is a war, a horrible war. Things are horrible. Events are horrible. Now, there is a thing in the back from Joanna von Veen that says, I did not include homophobia in this, which she was like, I didn't want to include that. There are too many other heavy topics, so the two women are allowed to have feelings for each other, and we're not worrying about it. And in part, there are explanations from Ursula specifically to say, like, why their love is okay. Ursula is also Catholic, nun, and Elspeth is not. She was raised Protestant, but because of all the trials in her life, she's basically like, I don't really care. Like, God is not good. Like, I don't care for God. I don't know that God exists. I think that sounded like cod. I meant God. But this is a wild story. This is bigger than her other books, I believe. I know it's bigger than My Darling Dreadful Thing. I think it is also bigger than Blood on Her Tongue. I have it in the back. I'm trying. Yeah, this is definitely longer than that. There's a lot of body horror in this. The necromancy gets very gross. But it's so well done, and watching the two women is so interesting. And like the writing is wonderful. Van Veen does an incredible job. I'm sorry if I'm saying her last name incorrectly, but that's how I'm saying it until someone corrects me, because finding it on the internet is not happening. I tried. But I so enjoyed this, and I was worried I wouldn't, because I don't always enjoy, like, historical is not the right word, but anything, like, I was worried this would feel too, like, akin to some medieval horror I read, but no, this was very good. This was so, just like, there's witchcraft and there's so much stuff going on, and Catholicism and Protestantism, and it was just great. I definitely recommend this one. I actually think I do like this even more than her other two books, and it's just so well done. I am so curious to see what she does after this. I will also say so we're in Bavaria, so there's German folklore included. There's also, this was solely interesting to me. They mention Satan giving men belts to turn into wolves, and I actually researched werewolf trials in France. It wasn't Germany, but it was well believed that there were men who could turn into wolves, and it was typically poor men who would turn into wolves, and they had made some kind of deal with the devil to do this. And in France, it was like, they were always very hairy and stuff like that, but it was so interesting because the folklore of the, like, French, German, they didn't really have it in England, but like the werewolf thing is all kind of in there. So I was just like, oh yes, that's a thing. But yeah, that is everything for that book. Again, I did not plan on finishing it before I started the vlog, but I did. It was incredible. It was very good. The Sapphic elements are remarkably well done. So I highly recommend. I would say this one is also probably the most Sapphic of them, which sounds odd, I'm sure, but like the romance is so key to this. Again, highly recommend. Now the other book that I'll be reading is one that I have been waiting so long to read. So this is The Brides, which came out in the UK, I believe, well before it came out in the US, and I have been waiting and waiting and waiting because I feel like the release date for the US kept getting pushed back. My library had this and I freaked out. This is like a prequel to Dracula focused solely on the brides, and I am just so freaking excited. I know nothing about Charlotte Cross. I am actually gonna see, is this her debut? It is! This is her debut novel. So I'm just very excited for this. I don't know how much reading I'm going to get done today, but that is the thing I'm going to read. I know this is a very long opening clip, but I did not plan to have a book read as I started the vlog. But yeah, so I'm excited to read The Brides. Bone of My Bone was incredible. I'm very excited that I finally got to read that one too. That one I knew, like, I'd been waiting for a hold for a while, but I had a hold for it. The Brides I didn't even think my library had, so it was a fun surprise. So having a solid start to the day. I need to go. I have to get started on work stuff early because we have some stuff going on that is also very early. They added a ton of stuff to our Friday calendar for early in the morning, which is fine, but it kind of throws off my schedule a tiny bit. So I am gonna go. I will talk to you when I have an update on The Brides, and hopefully I will cool down. It's very muggy today. It's supposed to rain, which is why I decided crop top was the way to go, but I am so warm right now and I would very much like to be not so warm. But I will talk to you when I have an update on The Brides. Gremilinos. Hello, Gremilinos. I am in the bedroom. I'm again wearing my Tina shirt. I feel like the last time you saw me in the bedroom, maybe not in that video. I don't know. I know I wore this in my last video too, but it's one of my pajama tops. Oh gosh. It is, oh, sorry. It is like almost 5 o'clock on Saturday, and it has been a time. So, last night, around like 8-ish, Charlie, like, we took her out, she went to the bathroom, and like, she kind of had diarrhea, like, nothing too bad, but it was like, you could tell her stomach was upset, and I was like, oh, okay, well, maybe you got too many treats, because she had like, a little dentist stick, she'd had, like, teething chew, and she'd had some training treats, and I was like, maybe your stomach's just, like, it's a lot of stuff for a puppy. So I was like, okay, maybe we, like, overdid it. And then she is very good in the house. She hasn't had any accidents in the house. She still hasn't, but she, like, woke up at 4. She was making kind of a ruckus, and she's been sleeping through the night for the most part. So I was like, okay, let me take you out. It was pouring rain. So this poor kid. I tried to take Charlie out the front, and it's so loud, it's so rainy, it's so scary. And then there was lightning, and she was like, eh. So she didn't want to go out, and I was like, okay, let me put you back in for a sec. So I like put her in for a second, because I'm soaking wet, and I'm just trying to like brainstorm, because it was 4 a.m. and I was very tired. And then I'm like, okay, let me take you into the backyard, because we have a big tree that overhangs our backyard, so sometimes if it's raining, like there are spots where the rain is less bad. So I took her out, and then she very definitely like was sick. Like she had an upset stomach, and I was like, okay. But like I couldn't see anything because it was dark and it was raining. I didn't have a flashlight or anything, and I was like, okay, let me just like get you inside, let's get you dried off. I had to change clothes. I was soaked completely through. And then I put her back in, but then from like 4 to like 6:30, I just like didn't really sleep, because I was like trying to listen for her, because I was like, okay, her stomach's upset, like if she like starts crying, like I need to take her out. Around 6:30, which is kind of when she typically wakes up on her own, she made a bit of a ruckus, and I was like, okay, let's get you outside. And she just like, it was not pretty. It even freaked her out, but like she was very definitely like sick. And I went to put her in her crate, because I kept her outside for a while, because I was just like, are you good, are you done? Like I wanted to give her plenty of time to like go to the bathroom. There's a gnat right by my face. Also, Bruni is barking. Bruni has been in like he's been barking so much today. He's just in a snit, I guess. But brain. She was very definitely sick, and like I made sure I let her drink a little water, because she had like a little water in her bowl. And I brought her in, and I woke Krista up, because it was like, was this 7? No, like 6ish I put her back in, but then I took her again at 7 because she was making a ruckus, and that's when I woke Krista up. It was like 7:30, and I was like, hey, because the reason I woke Krista up is I went to take Charlie out, and she had very definitely at some point thrown up in her crate, but she had like hidden it, and so I couldn't tell when she threw up, but I needed to clean the crate. And so I took her out, I came back in, I gave Charlie to Krista, I like cleaned out her whole thing. She had like a pillowcase on her dog bed, so I took the pillowcase off and like cleaned all that up. We put her back in, but then I was like, we really need to call the vet, because I was like, I think so she's had some shots already, which we know. So we didn't think it was parvo. It's not, by the way, it's not parvo. That normally is like, you know, that a bit earlier. And she wouldn't have caught it at our house. Like she would have caught it in Oklahoma where she was found, or at her rescue, which would be very surprising. So we were like, we don't think that's it, but also she was at a shelter, so we don't know. And then I was like, I think it's Giardia, which we've had puppies who have gotten Giardia before, because they put everything in their mouth. And I was like, she could have gotten it from like the yard, because we haven't taken her anywhere because her shot rounds aren't done, but she very definitely like has been like chewing on the grass and grabbing things in the yard and like all this stuff. So we called the vet we took her to get shots at last week, and they were like, no, we've had 2 emergencies and we're full, like just give her a bland diet, see if that does anything. And I was like, I really don't think bland diet is gonna help here. It will in theory, but like if your animal has Giardia, like giving them a bland diet is not going to stop the symptoms, because Giardia is a parasite. So like she would have gotten worse, because that's what happens. So and I know this because the other 2, like we've dealt with it before, because puppies. So I was like, ugh. And then we called that vet. We called a local vet that we take Kira and Bruni to for their shots and stuff, and we were like, please, like she's very young, and we were gonna add her to that account anyway, because that local vet is really nice. And I like called, and I was like, she's so young, and I was like, I think it's Giardia, but like we don't know, like she could be sick of something that we didn't catch. So we were like telling them, and then Krista wound up calling them back, because we called a different vet. Like there are 2 vets in town, one we really don't like, but we were like, maybe they could see her, because they'll charge an arm and a leg, but they'll normally let you come in. No. They're like, no, we're full up, she could come in next week. And we were like, that doesn't even make sense. So this vet, they were like, no, you can bring her in. So she'd kind of cleared out her system. We'd taken her out a couple more times. She hadn't gone anymore, really. We got Charlie in her crate. We ran out to get chicken and rice, because I was like, well, regardless of what it is, she's not gonna be able to eat dog food. So we were picking that up, and then while we were headed to the store to pick that up, we got a call, and they're like, no, please bring her in, we'll do a same-day sick visit, which means you basically pay an emergency vet charge. And then they're like, and then we'll see her. And they were very nice. They were like, we are very sure she doesn't have parvo. She's too excited. She's very excited to see people. And then we were able to get a poop sample right before we left. Like, she again had explosive just liquid. It was not pleasant. But then there was like a tiny bit of solid stuff that we could collect and take, and they're like, yeah, so she definitely has Giardia. And I was like, of course. So the poor thing is, we're supposed to withhold food for most of the day. They gave her a shot for nausea, but the vet was like, for puppies, I don't like doing a whole day, so you can give her some chicken and rice at like 6. And then he was like, and you can start all of her medicine. So she gets like a probiotic, because of the upset stomach, and then, like an antibiotic and something else to like kill the Giardia parasite. It's different than what you give for like deworming and stuff. It's a slightly different one. And then we had to order something online to give her, but they were like, that'll come a little later, so don't like just give it to her when it comes, but she should be feeling better by then. So like, it's just a lot of things that she has to take. And I feel bad that she is sick, but she's also very upset because she's hungry and she's watched Kira and Brittany eat because of her kennels, and I was like, I'm so sorry, not allowed to feed you yet. So I just felt bad. And like, she does not like that her stomach is upset, because she like freaks out every time she goes to the bathroom, and I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. So I mean, it happens. If you've never had a puppy, they literally just like put everything in their mouth, like every single thing. And like, she just like, she's been grabbing sticks and like saying hi to people, and again, she hasn't left her property because you're not supposed to like take them out of their like home environment until she needs like 2 more shots or something before that's like safe. So she's just been here. The vet doesn't count because you have to take them. So that like was going on, but it's been like a whole time. But I like basically had not slept since 4. I was so tired. Because I was just kind of like dozing off, but then I would like wake up constantly. So after we like got her diagnosed, and hopefully this means like everything will be sorted out in a couple of days for her like stomach and everything, and she should settle back down. Brain again, sorry, I'm still kind of tired. So we got her situated, we got her some water. I took a shower because I was just like, I need to shower because I just felt gross. And then I was like, I need to take a nap. Like, I was like, I'm so tired. So Krista is watching fantasy football videos because she's actually doing fantasy football again this year. She wasn't going to, but she is. And so she's like watching stuff to help prep for her draft. And so I just like crashed out on the couch. I was so tired. And then Kira slept with me. So Krista said it was very sweet. She was like laying next to me. Kira was also very concerned this morning because she could tell we were like calling about the puppy, because we were like checking on Charlie and then making phone calls. And so she started like following us around and like sitting next to us while we were on the phone and then checking on Charlie. So like, Kira knew something was up and she felt bad, and she was checking on Charlie in her kennel earlier. But this clip's long. I'm sorry all the clips are long. It's just a lot's been going on. But yeah, so it's in the evening. I should make dinner soon, but like my stomach was upset. We had lunch. Like there was like a sandwich place on the way home, but pretty sure like Chris was like, the food was messed up initially, and like that was a whole bunch of drama. And then I don't know that the food I ate was particularly like up to snuff. It was just barbecued pulled pork. Like, I just assumed it would be like fine. But my stomach was very upset when I woke up from my nap, so possibly not. But yes, anyway, yeah, so just dealing with sick Charlie. Her mood is fine. She just like, oof, poor thing. They also were like, no, she can't have any additional treats or anything right now either, just like the chicken and rice when she can eat. And it'll be like small amounts to like keep her from getting sick. Hopefully. So that's the plan. But I actually have a book update. What page am I on? I think I have like 200 pages left. So about halfway through, right? Yeah. So, I'm on page 185 of 380. Is it 383? I think it's 383. We're not going to move. Of Brides. The very first thing I'm going to tell you about this is do not read the synopsis on the inside. Don't do it. Do not read the front flap. Don't. Because things that are mentioned in that, one thing still hasn't even happened, and I am again 185 pages with like basically halfway through this book. One thing hasn't actually happened yet, and the other stuff like just happened 20 pages ago. So don't do it. Don't read it. This is set up in an epistolary, I think is how you say it. If I'm saying that wrong, I'm sorry. Again, I'm tired. Format like Dracula. But what they don't tell you exactly, so they do tell you the three of the primary characters we're following. There's Lucy, Mafalda, and Eliza. They all knew each other at school. Eliza is slightly older than Lucy and Mafalda. She was like their, I don't know what to call it. It was like a boarding school. They gave it a name, but like think like a house mother kind of deal. They would just kind of like set you up with an older girl to help you get situated. So that's what Eliza was to Lucy. And then Lucy, when Mafalda came, became her like friend, companion, just know there are Sapphic elements in this, primarily concerning Lucy and Mafalda. Eliza has a very different plot. Eliza is with a very well-to-do gentleman, who is much older than her, but she's with him, for a variety of reasons. I won't get into detail for that. But what is going on in this? So we are following those through in primarily. And then there's also, is it Alice? There is a character not mentioned. Oh, they do mention her, the maid, Alice. So, and then we're following Alice, who has like visions, kind of. And she's very worried about them because she only has visions of like dark things. And it's a family trait, like other women in her family have had it. And so Alice is there, and because she's like a lady's maid, she is kind of taking care of all of them because there is a trip involved in this. And because this is on the cover, I'm just going to say there are trips involved, there's traveling involved. Primarily, there would have to be traveling because we are getting introduced to the character Dracula in a way. And in order to do that, you can't be in London because since this is, the book predominantly is set before the events of Dracula, the novel. And I say predominantly because there are sections set after the events of Dracula, the novel, that are inserted. And there is some kind of mystery element in there. And that's all I will say because that is not mentioned in the flap. But I do want to tell you there are like 2 timelines because they're dated. And it is how they are like connecting the story to the Dracula novel. We are spending time in England, but we have been in like Budapest and Romania and Transylvania with one of the characters so far. Mafalda, her family is like her mother's side of the family is from that part of the world, and they have traveled there because of a family event. So Mafalda has been, that's how we're getting the letters. Mafalda is in that area, and she is writing to Lucy, who is in London. And so that's how it's going. It's hard to summarize anything because it is in letter format, and because I really don't want to spoil anything. Ultimately, and like the synopsis on the side is so bad. And bad is in like the synopsis is just like way, like focuses on stuff that's way deeper in the book than I would have had my synopsis be. The book in the section set prior to Dracula the novel in like 1884. Yeah. In 1884 are all set prior to the Dracula novel. All of that there's a lot of discussion of Mafalda and Lucy, which I very much enjoy. I will say that. And again, it is Sapphic in portions of it. That is very obvious. It is overt. So don't think I'm being like, oh, it's Sapphic and it's just like yearning. No. It's overtly Sapphic. I also think I lost my train of thought in that sentence, so I'm sorry. It's been a long day. Even with my nap, I'm tired. But I am very much enjoying it. Just there is the 1884 stuff that is split between like England and Romania, though like as the story progresses, there is more of a focus on Romania because of Dracula the being. And then the other timeline, I forget the date, I think it's 1903, that, because it is set after Dracula the novel, is aware of Dracula though. So like it is very interesting to watch, and I think I have already kind of solved the mystery that they're trying to get you with in the the 1903 sections. But yeah, I am very much enjoying it. Just don't read the synopsis. Again, it's very hard to explain because of the epistolary format, and I don't want to spoil anything, and also because I think the synopsis is bad. I don't want to say things that tie into the synopsis, which is making it even harder. But again, I am enjoying it. There are a lot of hints of Dracula in this, which I didn't actually expect, oddly enough. I just didn't think we would get as much Dracula as we have so far, but I am enjoying it. So that is it. This clip is insanely long. I'm so sorry. Also, this came in the mail for me. Krista made this for me. Well, ordered it for me. She designed it in some kind of online designy thing, and it's very cute. And I'm gonna put my books for my next video in it, because that video is gonna have a lot of books. A lot of books. But I'm rambling now, and I'm tired, and I should make dinner, at least for Krista. I chugged a bunch of water because I wasn't feeling the greatest. And then I have to feed Charlie before too long and start giving her meds. So yeah, but I will talk to you later. I promise, in a much shorter clip, Gremilinos. I promise it will be shorter because I'll just be finishing the book, I think. So I'll talk to you later. Hello, Gremilinos. Okay, so I am almost done with The Bride, so I'm gonna wait and give you the update when I finish. I have thoughts, but again, I'm gonna share them when I'm done, because I've already shared some of it. I also did a tarot draw that I'm going to show you now. I promise this video is only going to have these two books in it. But I drew the Two of Pentacles in the standard up situation. And it means balance, harmonious, change. The Two of Pentacles signifies a much needed change, whether you want it or not, and speaks to the art of cultivating balance when adapting to new norms that may arise. This could come at a time when you feel like you're juggling priorities and responsibilities. Where is the fine line between efficiently managing something versus losing control? If you feel extremely busy and it feels like things are falling apart, it may be a good idea to take a break and start your search for harmony. Getting caught up in the day-to-day can often blur your view of the big picture, so it's okay to take some time to recenter yourself. The Two of Pentacles reminds us to be patient, flexible, and adaptable when dealing with many responsibilities at once, and to accept change, even if it throws our plans off a little. Divya L. She/Her is the model. This is very funny. And I'm not going to get, because Krista was like, you should tell them how it relates to your life. I'm not going to get too into details, because some of this involves people who are not me and Krista. But I had thought we had something going on from Wednesday to Friday. And so I texted to get confirmation, like, hey, time's on Wednesday, what are we thinking? And the response I got back was, oh, no, we're good to go today. Like, Monday the 10th. And I was like, wait, what? So I was like, I don't understand. Please explain to me. And apparently something changed or got rescheduled. I don't know. Which, it's great. It's a good thing that we're getting additional time for the thing. But now I'm like, what? And Chris was like, can you take off any extra days? Because we're already taking off Wednesday, half of Thursday, because there's stuff on her calendar she can't move. And I was like, well, I'll work the half day. And then Friday. So I'm basically taking off most of this week, and I was like, I can't take off any more days. Like, they're not going to allow it. It's not a thing I can do. Which I was like, I can't, it's impossible. Also, Krista can't, because her schedule for Tuesday is crazy. So she was like, I was like, don't worry about it. Like, they'll text you. So like, that's all being handled. But I basically was like, oh my God. So I like freaked out temporarily, because on top of all of this, Charlie is still on a medication schedule, and we're waiting for one of her meds to show up. So like, I'm waiting for that to come, and she's on that for like the rest of this week. So like, our schedule is a little weird because we need to work around like specific feeding times kind of to make sure that she is getting food. And I also just had to mark myself away from keyboard to take her out to go to the bathroom, because this is so TMI, but I told you that Charlie has Giardia. And so now she's on a ton of stuff to like help firm up everything and like correct her, like help treat everything going on in her digestive system. So because of that, she's been a little constipated, which is totally understandable because she was very ill early Saturday morning. But she wouldn't go the rest of Saturday, which I assumed because she didn't really eat that much food. And then Sunday she would pee, but she wasn't doing anything else. And I was like, it's because she's not getting as many calories. Like, it's totally understandable, but she would not go this morning. And like, you could tell she had to go. Like, if you have a dog or you can see the little butt, you know what I'm talking about. And I was like, you have to go. I can tell you have to go. She just wouldn't go. And I think some of it is she was so sick that like she was freaking out every time she went poop. And I was like, I think you're just holding it because you don't want to go poop. And I think I was correct. She just went, and I sent Krista the craziest text. So we're already texting because she's busy. Like she can barely check her phone right now, but I was like, hey, FYI, we have plans tonight now and Tuesday night. But that's all we can do. And then, sorry, I just realized my work webcam was open. It's not on, but it was open. And then, brain. And then I was like, I finally got Charlie to poop. Which really, I just let her walk around the yard a lot. And like, she was running around and she was doing a bunch of stuff, but I finally got her to go. It's not like perfect or anything, but she actually went, which is good. Because we need to like make sure everything is at least still moving. So, yay, Charlie the Mugwai pooped. And you all get to relish in the fact that my puppy on a lot of poor digestive meds is feeling better. She's been fine this whole time. Like she's very playful. She's acting like a puppy normally, but like I just feel bad because her stomach hurts. Like maybe not her stomach, but like things are not working normally for her because of all the stuff. But she's feeling better. Brain, what else was I gonna tell you? Oh, very, very random thing that occurred that I'm including in this vlog. So, when we found out like what she had, which you can't technically self-diagnose, there's like a test they run, but I was very sure that's what she had. We already talked about this. So Krista was like, oh, we should clean like her pool because we bought her that little kiddie pool. And so I was like, yeah, no problem. So we were gonna spray it with the hose to like rinse it out and then like wipe it down. And our actual hose got run over. It like came with the house. Like we didn't buy this hose. It was just like on the property when we got here. It got run over by someone who did our lawn last year. And like we've been able to make it work. Mostly because the hole is so big in the center that like you could just kind of like lean it towards things. But Krista was like, we really need to replace it. So we went to replace the hose and I'm like, the hose is stuck. Like I could not get the hose off. And like the hose has been here for longer than us. So I'm just very sure it was like attached so hard. Like it was firm. Like there was no moving it. Also, it's been there for like multiple winters. So it's very possible that the hose just like corroded enough that like it was not coming off. Like it looked fine, but like winter messes stuff up and it's been there for so long that I was like, I don't know, I can't get it off. Krista tried, went and got pliers, tried to take it off. That still wasn't working. And finally, I was trying with the pliers, couldn't get it to move. We like switched a couple times and then finally I was like, I'll just try again. I don't know. So I'm trying, won't come off. And Krista's like, well, let me try. Cause sometimes when I'm trying to do stuff, if I try to use my right hand, my grip will be off a little and so it won't turn. Like I don't have the right leverage, just occasionally. And so I warned her, I was like, hey, be careful, the hose hookup is a little wiggly. And like, again, we did not put in this hose hookup, it's been here even before the people who lived before us, I'm sure. And she goes to take the hose off, it's still not moving. And then all of a sudden there's just water everywhere. There's water shooting out of the house. And I was like, did you break it by chance? And she's like, yeah, And she's like, she's getting covered in water and she yells, call the water department. And I'm like, well, it was Sunday. So I was like, the water department won't come out. So I like ran down into our basement because ages ago as a small child, my mom told me that if something is leaking or spraying water, you need to try and find the shutoff valve to at least stop it until someone can come take a look at it. And this came up because when I was babysitting a million years ago for my brother and sister, a toilet started leaking from like the base. And I had no idea what to do because I was a child who did not know that there were valves at the bottom of toilets to turn off the water. So that was a thing. But I was like, there has to be a turn off. And even if there wasn't one for the hose, we could have at least temporarily turned off the water to the house to at least get it to stop. And then I could call someone today. But I ran downstairs, rushed to, so the hookup is actually like, was installed through the wood of an old basement window that they have now that they boarded up. There's some weird choices that have happened with this house, not from us, but like people who have previously lived here. I think someone thought they were a bit of a handyman, is what my thoughts are. And so I like rushed down there. Krista is still getting pelted with water, mind you, and I was very sure I had seen an off valve, like a valve near the window, because our gas hookup for our oven is down there, and it's about in the same spot. So I ran down, I find this valve. It has not been touched in years, you can tell. It's like surrounded by spiders, and I was like, excuse me, and I'm just like trying to turn off the water, and it got turned off. The whole hookup off. And the pipe is so small that like it's just closed. It's fine. It's not doing anything. Nothing can get into the water line or anything because it is closed. And so Krista, while this is going on, had run to our neighbor's house, and he came over and he was like, oh yeah, that is a very thin pipe for a hookup. And I was like, yeah, I think it just like got old and like we were screwed because it sheared off, like it snapped. The pipe snapped in half, and it was just like a very thin copper pipe, which I think normally they're much thicker. So he was like, yeah, there's not really anything you can do. He was like, someone will have to come out and like put in a new hookup for you. And I'm like, well, that's fine. But also like summer's coming to an end. We're gonna hit fall, and you can't really have water sitting out in the fall because mosquitoes. And then also like winter will be here, and I don't really want to like worry, like we're not gonna use it in the winter, so why deal with it? So I feel like we're probably just gonna put it off. Like it's not that urgent to me. We don't garden. And I can always bring water outside for Charlie, so I admittedly am not that urgently concerned with getting a hookup put in. But yeah, the pipe just snapped off. But thankfully it had its own designated off, so I didn't have to turn off all the water. I just had to turn off the hose hookup, which makes me think the guy thought that that could happen and put a hookup immediately next to it. So I was like, oh, look at that. So it's fine. Everything's fine. But there is currently a broken pipe that's actually sheared so close to like where it's installed that I could like put some like insulation tape stuff over it for the for slightly longer term, and it would be fine. So I will probably do that because I have some leftover. We did some stuff for our porch, and we didn't put in insulation, but I bought like insulation tape to help with some stuff, and so yeah, I can put that over it for the short term. Maybe cover it with something else just in case, but that's that. That was a longer update than I anticipated. Don't worry, the bride's update will be short, and that'll be the last clip of the vlog. So I will finish it during my lunch break. I will talk to you about it, and then I'm apparently gonna have a very busy week. I knew I was gonna have a busy week anyway, but I'm gonna have an extra busy week. So yeah, be ready for the final clip of the vlog, which will be just talking about my thoughts on the end of The Brides. So I will talk to you later, Gremilinos, when I have finished the book. Hello, Gremilinos. It is the end of my lunch break, and I have finished The Brides. Also, I did intentionally wear the Hocus Pocus shirt because there are 3 sisters, though the brides are not sisters. So this is my general thought, and I do want to put this down because I want to use my hands. I do love this cover. This is a beautiful cover. If you are reading this book, you have to have either read Dracula the novel recently or have a very strong knowledge of the novel itself, because if you have not already read it, this book spoils everything. It tells you the end of Dracula, it tells you other parts of Dracula, it spoils the entire novel. It is not a standalone prequel. This is a companion novel, I would say, where if you have not read Dracula, upon reading this, you will know way too much about the novel Dracula, and it will be ruined for you forever. The book itself, I will applaud Cross for how well she integrates this novel with the existing Dracula story. She does establish it as, again, a companion piece. She is using a lot of knowledge and scenes from that book to supplement this one. Everything is connected. Everything is tied together. There are scenes from Dracula, point blank, that are referenced in this. Also, the character in 1903, other characters do appear, and the 1903 section does very much assume you know all of the novel Dracula, you know everything, you know all of it, and that you are coming from the same point of knowledge as that character as they're analyzing the case regarding the woman that is there. And that's all I will say. That is not mentioned in the synopsis, but there is a key plot occurring in the 1903 thing that I actually think is a bit too long and probably is not necessary, because you will probably, like me, guess what they're alluding to. And they're trying to make it a mystery. So Cross has tried to establish a mystery where like you haven't gotten to the end of the events. You're in like a pseudo chronological order. It's not all chronological, which they tell you as you're reading. But it's 1884, correct? 1884? I have to double check. Yeah. The 1884 section that we're like really dealing with, that is the examination of the brides and Dracula, all of that, it's not entirely chronological, but it's close. And you have to keep in mind that like there are events happening there, and in 1903, because it's happening after the fact, sorry, Charlie is squeaking a toy in her crate, and I can hear it. But the 1903 stuff is trying to establish some kind of mystery that will be resolved for you when you get to the end of the 1884 section. And I don't know that it needs to be there. I think they could just tell you, because as you're reading it, the only thing that makes sense is if a certain character or certain characters are there. It's the only thing that makes sense. So that felt like it dragged a bit. And what's interesting to me is when I read Dracula, now I've read it a couple times. I read it when I was younger and I reread it more recently. I think it's in a vlog. It's definitely in a vlog. I pointed out that I thought Dracula itself is a very slow moving book, and then all the action happens right at the end, and it's very much the same here. The only reason the action is even kind of spread out a bit is because of the 1903 sections that interrupt the action, and then you're back in it. So if we were reading it truly in chronological order, or 1903 was at the beginning, we got 1884, and then 1903 was at the end, I think it would feel the same as Dracula in terms of pacing, which is commendable to Cross. She has created something that does feel very much like Bram Stoker's Dracula, not the movie, his book. The movie is a completely different thing and is fine. I like the soundtrack. I don't particularly care for the movie anymore. I liked it when I was younger, and then I rewatched it after reading Dracula and was like, this is dumb. Like, I'm so sorry if you love that movie, but they turn it into a love story that does not exist in the novel. So it's really just like fan fiction, which is fine, but also is fan fiction. Yeah, it's some of the action that occurs later in this book is what I was looking for. There is a scene that is very well done, very vampire. It's so fun, but it takes so long to get there, and so much is happening off page, where you're like, okay, cool, like this is a cool scene, but it is very, very much like Dracula itself, where everything is taking a while. The culmination is very quick, very fast, and done. And so the action is handled very quickly. The vampire-y scene, basically, there's not a lot of it, and it's done very quickly. And part of it is, there's a huge truck going by, part of it is teased to you at the beginning of the novel. So you get like this teaser page, and then those events don't occur until you're almost done with the book, which I dislike. I don't like when we rely on something so far in when it's so little of the book. Now, if that had occurred at the halfway point, I'd be like, oh, that's fine. It's not the halfway point. We are almost done with the novel when that occurs. And I was like, cool. That's where that scene is. So ultimately, I think if you look at it as a novel that wants to be part of like the world of Dracula as presented by Bram Stoker in the novel, it works perfectly. It is that. The issue is I came into this wanting something different. That it also bothers me a bit that the 1903 chapters, I will tell you, are told to us from the point of view of a man consistently, and I just wanted women. I wanted this book to rely very much on women. There is a woman presented in the 1903 section that is, and she's very important, but it's not exactly what I wanted. I really just wanted like incredible women leading this story and seeing them as like in their, I don't know, I'm not really gonna say that because I feel like it might be spoilery-ish. I don't feel like we got enough time with the vampire element or with the actual like creation of the brides and how that was all working, and I wish there had been more of it. Now again, in comparison to Dracula the novel, this is pitch perfect. This is very, very akin to how Bram Stoker wrote Dracula. So like it isn't what I wanted. It is Sapphic, and there is an incredible scene that really, really like brings that home, and I appreciate that. But I don't know that this book is going to like work for a lot of people, because if you thought Dracula was slow, you'll think this is slow. You may even think this is slower, because it is slow. Like, it's not a plot driven book really, and I found myself, once I got past the halfway point, I just felt less inclined to pick it up because things were not moving quickly enough, and it felt like some things could have been cut out or action could have been presented earlier. because it just feels very drawn out, and I was just like, I kind of just want to know how it ends at this point, which is not a good way to be reading a book. I don't want to say other people won't like it. If you do enjoy Dracula, I think you'll very much enjoy this. I think the pacing is good in terms of Dracula. Like, the pacing is similar. So this is very similar to reading Dracula, but not the events with, I'm going to say with the Harkers. And so that is interesting. Like, that is clever writing that you can do that. But a lot like with Lucy Undying, which was another adaptation of like the Dracula universe, this didn't quite do what I wanted. And I feel like some of it is, it's just like, we're not going far enough for me. Like, I want more dangerous vampire women, especially if you're going to say this is the brides. And the brides are frightening. They work as a trio. They do a number of things. They are dangerous. And we just didn't really get as much of that as I wanted. And I also did come into this with the brides from the Van Helsing movie, Verona, Alira, and Mariska. I love them. I love them so much. I've been obsessed with them since I was a teenager and before I realized that I was bi. But I'm obsessed with them. And I wanted more brides. And I didn't get that. And I really wanted it. So really I just need someone to write faux Verona, Alira, or Mariska as characters. Is what I need, I guess. Because this, like, just, it didn't quite do it for me. And I really, really wanted to love this. And I just come away kind of ambivalent. But I do think it is a solid Dracula piece. Like, if you like Dracula, you should read this. But I worry that if you think Dracula, the novel, is slow, you will also find this very slow. Maybe, I don't know if this exists. I have not looked. If there is an audiobook, I would maybe look into that. Or if you're going to read it, I feel like maybe, I'm trying to think, I just don't know. I just think it's slow. And I think you need to know that going in, that it is slow. The pacing is very similar to Dracula the novel. And if that was too slow for you, then this may be too slow for you too. I do think it's a good companion piece. I think it's a good novel in terms of wanting it to fit into Dracula's universe, but it is not something I would recommend widely. I don't think. I think you would have to come into it knowing that it's slow and it reads very much like Dracula the novel. I keep saying that because I don't want you to think I'm talking about the movie. So yeah, overall, it was a fine read. I just think it is a bit slow and I did not find myself feeling drawn to pick it up. Whereas Bone of My Bone, the other book in this vlog, I desperately wanted to know what was happening. I like wanted to figure out what was going on. And I just think this one was a bit too slow for me. But that is the end of this vlog because I'm apparently very, very busy this week. I kind of knew that, but that is it. Those are the only two books that are going to be in this vlog. I have plans for a vlog after this, but I'm going to take a little time to start that one. I may read some books in between. I probably won't tell you about them. I know for a fact that I have a book about to be in at the library that I do want to read. The new Riley Sager. What is it called? I don't know. I have that coming, but I don't think I'm going to read it in a vlog. I may just read it just for the sake of reading it. I don't know. I do want to read it. I just don't know that I'm going to vlog it. We'll see. We'll see how I'm feeling. We'll see how things go. But yeah, that is the end of the vlog. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. I'm on Instagram at CliffGoEverAfter. And see, I told you, this one would be shorter than the last one, Gremilinos. But I will see you in the next one.